Street food always captivates with its unique flavors and enticing aromas from different regions. However, not all street food experiences are safe. Many dishes are prepared under extremely unsanitary conditions, spoiled ingredients, dirty cooking tools, and dusty environments. Imagine tasting a crispy fried snack cooked in oil reused hundreds of times, or a bowl of soup reeking of poorly handled offal. From Nasi Lamach in Malaysia, swarmed by flies, to Samosa in Sudan with dubious ingredients, each dish poses a challenge to your safety. Are you willing to risk your health to try these risky foods? Discover the list of street foods that not everyone dares to try. Momo, Nepal. Momo, Nepal's beloved steamed dumplings, may look delicious, but beneath their appealing exterior lies some unsettling truths. The filling is typically made from pork or chicken of questionable origin, often meat that is near expiration, or even slightly spoiled. The meat is minced on old wooden chopping boards, stained with dried blood and covered in dust. When mixing the filling, vendors often use bare hands without gloves, allowing anything they've touched to become part of the food. The dumplings are steamed in old pots, coated with layers of burnt residue and oily grime that haven't been properly cleaned in ages. The lack of sanitation throughout the process turns Momo from a comforting treat into a health risk. The juicy, fragrant Momo may tempt you, but knowing the unsanitary steps involved in their preparation, do you still feel the same urge to take a bite? Eating a Momo under these conditions isn't just about tasting Nepalese street food, but about risking exposure to thousands of bacteria and potential illness with each bite. The question remains, do you dare to try a Momo, knowing the hidden dangers that come along with it? Samosa, Sudan. Samosa, a crispy fried pastry filled with meat, looks tempting, but is one of the least hygienic street foods in Sudan. The filling is often made from meat and vegetables of uncertain origin, possibly using spoiled meat and wilted greens. These fillings are wrapped in a thin dough layer and then fried in a pan filled with dark, thick oil, reused multiple times without being changed, leaving behind a residue filled with burnt particles. The samosas are displayed openly on street stalls without any covering, attracting flies and other insects that gather around in swarms. When you bite into a samosa, you're not just tasting the seasoned meat. You're also confronted with the rancid flavor of old oil and the unpleasant greasiness of improperly fried food. The lack of hygiene makes this snack more of a health hazard than a delight. The real question is, do you have the courage to try this street food, knowing it could be harboring bacteria, parasites, and other health threats? While the crunchy exterior and spiced filling might initially appeal to you, the hidden risks make every bite a gamble for your well-being. Dodo, Nigeria. Dodo, a fried sweet plantain dish, may seem harmless at first glance, but it can be quite a challenge for your stomach. The plantains are often left outside, exposed all day without cover, swarmed by insects and flies. When it's time to prepare them, they are sliced and thrown into a pan filled with dark, thick oil. Oil that has been reused day after day without being changed. The boiling oil sends up clouds of smoke, filling the air with a pungent, acrid smell that is anything but appetizing. When you bite into a piece of dodo, you might expect the sweetness of the plantain to be front and center. Instead, you also taste the bitterness of burnt oil and the heavy, greasy residue left behind by unclean cooking methods. The mixture of sweetness and unpleasant flavors reminds you of the unsanitary process behind its preparation. Eating dodo thus becomes less about savoring a popular Nigerian street food and more about facing the risks hidden in each bite. The real question is, do you have the courage to indulge in a piece of fried plantain, knowing that every bite could be a health hazard, potentially leading to stomach troubles or worse? Mishkaki, Tanzania. Mishkaki, a popular grilled meat skewer, often sizzles over small charcoal grills set up on smoky, bustling streets. The meat used for mishkaki is typically sourced from local street-side butcheries, where slabs of meat lie stacked on dirt-covered ground, collecting dust and swarming with flies. These chunks are then cut into smaller pieces and skewered onto old bamboo sticks that have not been properly sanitized. The skewers are grilled over iron grates that are rusty, adding an extra element of risk. As the charcoal grill burns, dark smoke mixes with exhaust fumes from nearby traffic, covering the meat in a blackened, smoky crust that carries the harsh scent of burnt fat. When you bite into a skewer of mishkaki, you aren't just tasting the spices and grill flavors. You're also likely consuming numerous bacteria from the dirty preparation process. The aroma may be tempting, but knowing the unsanitary conditions behind the scenes, does mishkaki still hold the same appeal? The real question is whether you're willing to accept the health risks that come with every bite of this seemingly tantalizing street-side treat. Koki, Cameroon. Koki, a steamed cake made from red beans and palm oil, carries with it an alarming level of unsanitary preparation. The red beans are soaked in murky buckets of water, of unknown origin, often giving off an unpleasant stench. The bean mixture is then ground using old stone mortars, which are visibly covered with mold and grime. Palm oil, usually cheap and rancid, is added to the mixture to give it an artificial sheen and fragrance. When it comes time to wrap this concoction in banana leaves, the leaves are hardly ever properly washed, simply wiped briefly before being used. The mixture is then steamed over open fires, surrounded by dusty, stifling air. The overall process results in a dish that raises serious concerns about cleanliness. The strong, pungent smell of old palm oil and the bitter aftertaste make you question what exactly you're consuming. Is it truly a delicacy of traditional flavors, or are you simply taking in a breeding ground of bacteria? The choice to taste koki becomes less about enjoying Cameroon's culinary heritage and more about your willingness to embrace a risky culinary gamble that could have unpredictable consequences for your health. One street-side Nasi Lamach, Malaysia. Nasi Lamach, a beloved traditional dish of Malaysia, takes on a less than appealing side when sold on the chaotic, dusty streets. The rice, usually rich and aromatic, is often prepared in old, worn-out pots that are coated in thick layers of grease and residue from countless previous uses. The crispy anchovies, which should be a delightful topping, are fried in reused oil so dark it emits an acrid, burnt smell. The boiled eggs, typically soft and creamy, are peeled and left exposed on the makeshift stalls, rolling around amidst clouds of dust and swarms of flies. This carelessness with the ingredients creates a setting that raises significant hygiene concerns. When you look at a plate of Nasi Lamach with steam rising enticingly, it is hard to imagine the unseen risks that could be hidden beneath its surface, the bacteria and contaminants from such a polluted environment. Despite the tempting aroma, the reality of how it was prepared might give you pause. Street-side dining may have its allure, but this version of Nasi Lamach truly tests your sense of adventure. The question then becomes, do you have the courage to take a bite, fully aware that each mouthful could lead to an unwelcome journey for your stomach, one that is unpredictable and potentially quite unpleasant? Fufu, Ghana. Fufu, a soft dish made from yams or cassava, quickly turns into a nightmare when you learn about its preparation. Cassava roots are harvested from the fields, still covered in dirt and animal waste, and are only roughly scraped clean using old, rusty knives. Afterward, these roots are pounded into a paste in wooden mortars that are worn out and covered in moss and cobwebs. The vendor then kneads the fufu with bare hands, without gloves or proper hand washing, leaving traces of anything they've touched on the dish itself. When you look at the smooth, white fufu, you can't help but wonder what lies beneath its seemingly innocent texture. A concoction likely filled with impurities and bacteria due to the horrifyingly unsanitary methods of preparation. Eating fufu, in this case, feels like a gamble with your health. The question is, are you willing to risk your stomach for the sake of trying this dish, knowing the journey it might lead you on? Thank you for joining Discover Journey on this exciting culinary adventure. If this documentary has captured your interest, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Discover Journey for more in-depth explorations of the world's most mysterious and challenging dishes. Share your thoughts and feedback in the comments section. See you in the next culinary adventure.